Obviously, when an opportunity like this comes along to acquire someone of Rudy Gay's talent, you jump forward and you make the right deal. And we feel like after a lot of work over the last month and a half in pursuing this and different discussions, different iterations of the deal, the way it all ultimately played out, we're satisfied with it, and we think it's a great deal for us. We're very sorry to lose two what I call friends. Both Ed Davis, who is a great young man, and he's developed and he's done so well in terms of what he's accomplished now, really coming into his own this year, really played himself into a type of deal that we made today. And then Jose, who is just obviously a wonderful human being and has been a class act in so many years here. It's sorry to see him go. This is not the first time we've contemplated making a move with Jose. This one is, more or less official until all the pieces report past physicals, etc. But I'm happy for Jose. He's going to a situation where he's been wanted. Detroit has always inquired about his availability. There was even some talk with them this summer about a deal where he would end up there, but they got a very great piece, and I think he's going to do very well there. It's close enough to Toronto that things can be convenient for him. And once again, we wish them both the best, and they're just terrific. We thank them for all their contributions to the organization. But the acquisition of Rudy Gay obviously is a big step for us, and we feel very comfortable with it.
What do you like about his game? What he brings to your team?
Well, we've been saying for a long time that we wanted to address the wing position, a dynamic wing. He was always right there at the top of the list. There was one or two others that you put in a small group. Players like this don't come along that often in terms of their availability. This was a unique circumstance, and obviously we feel like we took advantage of it. We knew that Jose's contract at some point would be valuable in a deal like this, not only for math reasons, to get the number up to a number that a player of Rudy's caliber makes. You've got to make the math work. And not only that, but we knew that he was playing well enough and he was a solid enough player and contributor to our team that he was going to end up helping somebody else. So it really is twofold. It worked out well for us that this has played out the way it has. Again, at the beginning of the year, quite frankly, Ed Davis would have been an afterthought in a conversation about a trade, but he really has worked hard, he's played hard, he's developed into a very nice piece, and obviously is somewhat of a cornerstone of the deal, the acquisition for Memphis today. So, Gay is a guy, Rudy is a guy that, when I talked to him tonight, his first comment to me was, "Why didn't you take me in the first place? Why didn't you draft me in the first place?" We had a laugh about that, and I gave him a little bit of insight, but he was always on the radar. We talked to him as a free agent. When he was a restricted free agent, I talked to his agent quite extensively about acquiring him. It didn't work out that year. We've talked to Memphis countless times over the years about acquiring him, and in this case, it's worked out and favorable for us.
Brian, how do you anticipate the team changing with the acquisition, like the style of play?
It always takes a while to kind of absorb new players, new talent, and we've taken a pretty significant piece out in that Jose was running the team a certain way. Now you insert Kyle Lowry into that starting point guard spot. They're obviously different players, and then you've got another dynamic wing player, an athlete that is capable of running, but also has shown a great propensity of playing a half-court style game in Memphis. So we get the best of both worlds there. But I anticipate that pace will probably pick up just naturally, not because of a change of philosophy necessarily, but I can bet that like you saw tonight, you saw a team scratch and claw and lay it all out there, and a coach adjust. That's what's going to happen over time here with the new talent coming in and the new player.
You've also taken on some long-term financial commitment to Rudy. How does that change what you might be able to do in the future, free agent-wise?
Well, our free agent situation was always going to be somewhat restrictive, as you know, given that we extended DeMar and that we really had we were progressing toward a spend rather than a retraction. This was never about, this was taking steps forward in spending, not taking steps backward. I've got a board, obviously, that's committed to spend the dollars. They committed not only to take on additional money this year, but we're going to be at or nearing the tax next year, and we've got some flexibility to make adjustments to get out from under that level, but there's a long time before those adjustments need to be made. And that's not to say this is the last transaction we make either. You still got a trade deadline 3 weeks away. You've got activity this summer. Anything can happen, and this business is fluid. But right now, we probably are going a different direction than trying to have cap flexibility, if you will. But the spend opportunities now in the new CBA are there regardless of where you are, whether you're a full mid-level, whether you're a non-taxpayer mid-level or a taxpayer mid-level. You're going to have an option to add a player or a piece. There's always veteran players that are now finding minimum contracts. The only thing that's available to them will obviously be pursuing those types of players in the right situations. But there's a lot of water that's going to pass under the bridge before we get to the point where decisions are made about next season's roster.
Brian, do you anticipate doing anything in the next 3 weeks?
Anything can happen. Again, that's where the trade deadline and the 3 weeks that are left factor in right now. There's been discussion with other teams about other players. Obviously can't get too specific. A lot of people want to ask me about Andrea Bargnani. I just made reference to it in an interview that Andrea is a player that has definitely garnered interest. Unfortunately, when he got hurt, that takes him off the market, so to speak, or put any of those conversations on ice. And that's not to say we're going to trade Andrea. I think it's important to look at every deal individually and say, is there a way to get better? The situation with Andrea is a unique one. He's a great talent, and he's done a lot for the organization, but sometimes a change of address is not bad. And I'm not saying he's asked for a trade, but he would certainly not fight or resist a situation if it was the right situation. So these are the kind of conversations you want to have with players and agents. You want to have an open dialogue in a relationship like that. And I think now, again, there's no assurance that we trade Andrea. Right now, the goal and the focus is to get him back healthy on the court and let him contribute to this team, and we'll see where things go.
Brian, whether it's Andrea or not, do you feel like you filled a wing spot, a hole in a sense, but have you created a little bit of one up front? Like, do you need more front court depth? Do you need another big?
Actually, with Jonas coming back, obviously, from his injury and really being a piece for the future, and as well as Amir has played, you've even got a young player in Quincy Acey who's really developed and come on and shown that he can contribute to this team. I think those are all positives, and that would speak to really not having to do anything. The other thing is we play a lot of small lineups, unorthodox lineups, whether we've seen Landry Fields, Alan Anderson, Rudy Gay can play 4. All those guys can slide to the 4 if you want to play a certain style. And knowing the way the coaches have been open-minded and flexible about those kind of things, sometimes out of necessity, I anticipate you'll see all kinds of scenarios that could play out. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to go find a big right now.